All right, I'm back. Um, yeah, feel free to start asking questions then. So, yeah, whenever I paint, I don't necessarily just paint with form. I just paint shapes that will help me create form, and then I just make form out of those shapes. I don't normally just start guessing. That's what I'm trying to say. Let me do something different. So I'll have him. Yeah, this is good. So I'm kind of doing some commissioned work right now, but it's okay because it's like allowed to be seen, so it's not too big of a deal. But the way that I like to work whenever I paint is always the way that I taught you guys, which is silhouette first, and then start worrying about all the other stuff. And I feel like a lot of times people get caught up with like details and forms and color and lighting and all that stuff, but no, sometimes it's just as simple as just paint something with just a simple shape and then start worrying about all that subtle stuff. Because like now that this penis brush is funny. Because now that I got some color in here, then I can start to, something about this penis brush though I'm not a big fan of. I'm trying to put my finger on it. Maybe it's because maybe it's because I just don't like black penises. I don't know. Racist and sexist of me. Um, Anywho, yeah, like I like to just start. Yeah, it feels like my performance is slower. That's what it is. Oh, it's because this is probably still open. Oh yeah, there you go. This feels a little bit better. Yeah, and so whenever, like I said, like a lot of students start out, they try to just go full ham with their stuff, and I usually try to bring them back and say, no, it's really not about doing all this crazy elaborate stuff. Because a lot of times what ends up happening is you see stuff online, like you see those Wang Wei paintings and you think, man, my paintings need to be that good. And then when you start to paint, you feel like, oh my gosh, it's like nowhere near as good as that already. Well, yeah, but it takes some time. The Wang Wei has been painting for decades now, you know, or over a decade. And his stuff is so good because of it. And so now I start to worry about perhaps like some lighting. But even then, I'm just being really sparse with how I'm approaching this lighting. Oh, what? Oh, I'll do that later. I have an idea. Um, but yeah, painting straight forms, like I don't normally just go and paint like a painting that has no like intent. If I do that, it's usually more of an exercise of just my abilities. It's not really an exercise of, or not like a practical thing that I do often.
I have one question, Anthony,
Yeah, go
as
for it.
well. Um, what do you think about the portfolio issue? Do you used to make a lot of pieces, or do you will choose some the better pieces, if you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
some people, some artists tell me that I should only put 10 to 12 pictures, and sometimes I see a lot of artists putting 100 pictures. So I don't know if what you should do exactly. But maybe you have some interesting point on this.
Yeah, I
On
think
this.
you should just put your best work. I don't think it matters about the
Okay.
quantity as much. I
Yeah.
think I think it does matter if you have more than less, right? I'm not saying that if you have one really amazing piece, then you'll get a job. Like, no, I'm saying
Mhm.
that you should just have mostly good pieces. And if you have 10 pieces, then 10 of them should be your best work. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Don't put anything else in your portfolio that you don't think is your best work just because you want to make your portfolio bigger. Okay?
Okay.
The solution then
So
is
all okay. Go
yeah,
go.
the solution is if you let's say you only have two pieces that you think are good, then you only
Mm-hmm.
have two pieces that you think are good. So then the solution is to then make more pieces that you think are good and put them in
Yeah.
there until maybe you
Mm-hmm.
get to a number that you feel comfortable with. Like 10 is a good number, right?
Then
Uh,
the good number. Okay.
yeah, and then just keep adding to it, right? Like as you get more
Mm.
like better pieces, then you just put them in as they come, you know. And a consequence of that is that you'll start to make pieces that are better than the previous pieces, and then you just start getting rid of some pieces and you start cycling it out. And maybe you have like a official portfolio of like 20 or 30 images, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that you are constantly updating with new images. Or you become someone like me who just posts everything that they do because I really don't, at this point,
Yeah.
I don't care, right? Um,
Yeah.
but, you know, you're not in the same position as I am, so I wouldn't say it's
Really? Really, I'm not.
no, like it's you know, it's a thing where like I don't really am looking. I'm not really looking for work, you know. So it's not.
Yeah.
I don't need to be constantly making my portfolio something of a priority, you know.
I
But
understand. I got it.
ironically, yeah, ironically though, uh, because I paint so much, I am getting better, and every piece is getting better and better, right? So my portfolio,
Mm-hmm.
consequentially, is becoming a really good portfolio, right? Um,
Yeah, because you're drawing a lot.
yes, and so. But in the beginning, yeah, I agree. Like just kind of have like a group that you feel good about, you know. And if you don't have that,
Yeah.
make one. But don't at the same time don't be like waiting till like every single piece is perfect. Just pieces that you feel good about, put them in. You know, go to an event and you know put as many images as you feel are good. You know, because when you want to go to an event and you have someone look at your artwork, you want them to be honest with you as much as possible. And so you don't want to put stuff in there that will distract their feedback, you know? Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't want to put like artwork that's so bad that that's all they focus on, but you're like you already know like they're bad. You only put it in there because
Yeah.
just someone told you you needed a lot of portfolio pieces, right? And so
Yeah.
then they spend their whole time critiquing a piece of artwork that you already know is pretty awful and you don't really
Yeah.
care.
That already happened to me.
Yeah. See? And so
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
so you only want to show your best work. So if they're going to tear you down, they're tearing you down from what you believe is the best you got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not something that
Yeah.
is secondary to that, right? So it's actually better to just post like I said, even if it's only like three pieces, because if someone is going to give you a critique, because usually they're going to critique you, be like, you need more portfolio, right? Because that's just the truth,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if
Yeah.
you're like, I know you, so you know, I know this, but like from the pieces that I'm showing you, this is the best I got. Like, what do you think? And then hopefully they'll give you feedback on the pieces that you are showing them. You know, knowing full well
Yeah.
that you don't have enough, but you're not you're not dismissive to that feedback. You're like, yeah, I know I have enough, but what what can I do? You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and if
Okay.
you have like a good person that reviews portfolios really well, then you'll be lucky. They'll give you some pretty good feedback on what you can improve upon. But at the same time, you know, listen to feedback because if people don't give you jobs, you know, there's a reason why. And so even if they're just like a hiring manager and you might not think that they know what they're talking about, still listen, still be attentive because they might say
Yeah.
something that you're like, I don't agree with that 100%. Like I don't understand what they mean. Like they want me to do environments, but I don't want to do environments, or I don't want to do this thing. But why would they say that? You know, why would they say that? And I can tell you right now, when people distract you with like comments like that, like things that are a little misleading in terms of feedback, um, they're just trying not to hurt your feelings. They're trying not to say that you suck. Okay,
Yeah.
you understand?
You're sick.
Yeah,
Mm.
because that's the truth. Because if you were a badass, like for instance, like some people have told me that, like, yeah, you got to spread your portfolio. You have to have all kinds of variety of artwork. I just do characters, right?
Mm.
I'm just a character designer. Now, if let's say Wang Wei is an artist that was looking for a job, he's not, but let's say he was, and he goes and shows people this, like, work that will hopefully load.
Mhm.
Like he shows people this kind of stuff that he has on his portfolio, and oh man, get your life together, Art Station.
But in fact, the most complicated part is to have those feedbacks because it's really complicated to meet the art directors and to have a real feedback on your work.
Yeah,
Expect if you are going to festivals, something like that. It's quite expensive if you have to go there and if you live in a small country, in a small city. It's quite complicated to have feedbacks, constructive feedbacks on your work most of the time.
yeah. Um, so hold on, I'm trying to make a point. All right, well, whatever.
So
I
yeah,
can't.
this is why I told you that sometimes, okay, I know that I should choose the best pieces of my work, but sometimes it's hard to know which one is the best, which one
You can
works
ask your
more than the
friends,
other
your
one.
peers. You don't have to.
Yeah, I already done, but sometimes one please one guy, sometimes one piece to another guy. It's
All right,
quite complicated.
let me
Mm,
stop you.
mm,
Yeah, you need to take this advice I'm about to give you. Okay,
mm.
try to find reasons.
Yeah,
Try to find reasons that you can do stuff. Don't find reasons why you can't do stuff. Do you understand?
yeah,
Because right now,
yeah.
every time I'm trying to give you a suggestion, you're like, "Well, there's this though," and then I'm
No,
like,
no,
"Okay,
no,
we'll
no,
try this." Then you're like, "Well, then this thing." Do you see the
no, I
problem?
listen to you, no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's like
yeah,
a
yeah.
that's
You
a
don't, no.
that's a behavioral thing that's actually gonna paralyze your career. You understand? Like
Okay.
like
Mm-hmm.
just yeah, just show it to your friends. Yeah, people are gonna disagree. Well, then just say, okay,
Yeah, but
it's fine.
I really don't. I really
Okay.
don't.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you even mentioned like just in this like question alone, you've already made three statements that
Mm-hmm.
are like not entirely wrong, but they're like the kind of behavioral mentality that I would want you to get rid of, to start to
Okay.
manage against. Because
Mm-hmm.
for every time you say it's like this or that, there's another artist that is in the same position as you, that has the same
Mm-hmm.
problems as you, and says
Yeah.
the opposite. Says, well, I can go to these places. I can put this stuff in my portfolio. I can do this. You
Um,
see the difference?
well, yes, but yeah, I've gone there. This is not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that I did those things, but it's complicated. This
Yeah,
is a
no, I'm
complicated
telling you,
part.
you're right. Yeah, and
I ask my friend,
there's
I
another
go to the
artist that went,
festival, but
there's another
yeah,
artist that went to all the festivals, and they also
yeah,
see that it's complicated, but they say,
yeah,
well, I'm gonna still keep going. I'm gonna show this much more portfolio. I'm gonna keep trying. And here, let me make a very clear
yeah.
point. Let me make a very strong point to you, but I'm not saying that you're not trying at all. I'm not saying that you're a quitter or you don't have the the fortitude to do. That's
Mhm.
obviously not true. What I'm trying to say is that there there's a good amount of skepticism that everybody should have. I'm saying you have too much of it. Okay,
Okay,
That's all I'm saying. Right? Like everybody
okay,
should be a little bit of skeptic. Like a little bit. You know, I don't know if that's entirely true. Like you should always have that kind of mentality, right? But you should always be on the upside of things because what that does is it motivates you. It propels you forward more often than it
okay.
pushes you back. Make sense? Because
Yeah.
here's the downward trend of the other attitude is if you start to really believe that it's going to be like really an impossibility. Like right now you might not feel that way. Right now you're on the upspin, but eventually if you go to enough of these and you keep saying this type of stuff to yourself and to others, right, you might convince yourself into a situation that I don't
Oh,
want you ever to be in, right?
oh, I will show you that I'm not a skeptic guy. So
Yeah.
can you check my portfolio and tell me which pieces are good or not for you?
Oh yeah, sure. Put it in the chat.
Yeah. Go on ArtStation and just type my
Art
name. You will see some.
ArtStation just
Yeah. Okay.
crashed. Can you send me a link?
I,
It'll be faster.
yeah. 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 For sure.
Thank you, bud. Yeah. So I forgot I was still painting with this brush.
Chime
Sorry
in.
about that.
I don't think you have to go to all festivals.
Wait, hold on. I think your whatever your mic is like super bad right now.
Mine?
Look, yeah, it's like a little static. Say it again.
Oh, our station is not working. Fuck.
Yeah, that's what I was
Uh,
saying.
That's shitty.
Yeah, we'll just wait. Just
I'm
we'll
done.
just give it some
I'm
time.
doomed. You see, I'm doomed. I'm just joking. Just joking.
Yeah, no matter what you do, right? Like that's what I'm trying to make a point of is like, yeah, look, life is rough, man, and this type of stuff happens
I
often.
know.
can you
But
hear me now?
yeah, I can hear. We can always hear you. It's just like weird static. I think it's
Hey,
good
totally.
now.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, well, I was gonna say that I don't think you need to go to all festivals
Hmm.
or events because I mean I live in Colombia. It's not like we have a lot of them. But you only need to aim like on one or two and just go, show your portfolio, get your ass handed to you, and then go back and work on the things that fix
Yeah, that
it.
there's always a reasonable solution to any problem that you may have. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say.
Sure.
And so yeah, you're right. Like you might have friends that disagree or have a weird opinion about whatever. Then just make a choice. Like if you're constantly overanalyzing, there's a term that we use in like board gaming, which is called analysis paralysis. Okay, and what analysis paralysis is when someone, let's say you're playing chess, okay, and it's your turn, right, and you don't make a move because you're thinking of every possible move, you know,
Mhm.
and it's like taking forever. It's like 30 minutes in, you're still like thinking, right? And I'm like, all right, I'm done playing with you. This is just taking really long, right? It's analysis paralysis. It's like you're thinking way too long and it's paralyzing you to make a next move. What I'm trying to say is don't think about it too much, right? Like just put together, I gave you solutions. Some people will say, yeah, you
Yeah.
need 10. Some people say you need 100, right? Like you did the right step of being skeptical of that feedback, that advice, right? You're right. Like why,
Yeah.
you don't need just 10. That's not entirely accurate because you see plenty of examples of people that have hundreds, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's great. But so then the next step, the problem that I was seeing was that when I gave you like a piece of feedback, I was like, hey, like you should try this,
Mhm.
Then you're like,
Yeah.
you're being skeptical again, right? And then I was like, okay, well, try this. And then you're being skeptical yet again. And
That's
like I
right.
said, it's fine to be skeptical, but eventually you have to stop and say, well, I need to do something and get results. Like you went to events, and this is probably where you first heard this advice. Let me give you an
Mhm.
example. Like a student came to me with like a conundrum. They went and saw Marko Djurdjevic, and he said, I only hire people who do traditional artwork, right? Like who can draw traditionally. If you can't draw, then you don't have a chance working for Six More Vodka, right? And like he
Okay.
was really hardcore about traditional drawing and drawing skills and foundation, right?
Yeah.
And this artist was like, damn, all right. He's super inspired by that. And then he goes to see Shadi Safadi, another amazing painter, right? Artist.
Yeah.
And Shadi Safadi is like, cheat everything. Photo bash, use 3D, use DAZ. Don't even learn anatomy.
Ev-
Just use DAZ. Expose
Everything.
it.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, just use
Yeah.
whatever to make a
No,
beautiful image, right? And this is the same
yeah,
artist
not the
watched.
same kind of artist. Mm.
Yeah, and this is the same student that watched Marco just a moment ago, and then now he's watching Shadi, and Shadi's like almost on the complete opposite side, right? And he says, "I don't hire you if you don't know 3D. I don't hire you if you don't know photo bashing." And the student's just like, "What in the, you know?" He's like, "So what do I do?" He's like, "I don't get it." He came to me. He's like, "Hey, like what?" He's like, "I went to these guys' talks, and now I'm more confused than I was before." He's like, "After Marco's, I felt really good, and then after Shadi's, now I'm like super confused." Because I was like, "I love Shadi's stuff, but I also love Marco's stuff, you know?" And I said, "Well, this is where you start to learn that you can do whatever you prefer doing to become the badass artist, because they're both right and they're both wrong, right?"
Mhm.
Because Marco is right. You should learn foundations and really um, push your skills. Yeah, he's right. Shadi's right. You should use all the tools available to you to advance and be a really good artist, right? But they're both
Yeah.
wrong to think that
Yeah.
that's the only
Yeah. I
way,
agree with that.
right? Like they're wrong to believe that that's like the only rate. And that's why this person was confused. But after I talked to them, they weren't confused anymore. They oh, I get it. And then you just have to ask yourself a simple question. It's like, do you want to be a person who paints more, or do you want to be a person who uses 3D and photo bashing more, right?
Hmm.
And he was on the side of painting more. And I said, okay, then take the advice of what's his name, Marco.
Okay.
But at the same time, don't necessarily avoid other software because that's just damning to your growth. It really is. And he's like, yeah, I agree. And so, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with what they're saying. That's their belief systems in painting, and it's worked out for them, right? For me, I
Hmm.
use whatever makes great imagery, but if I had to choose, if someone said you can only do one of these things out of all the stuff that I can do, right?
Hmm.
I would just be a painter, right?
Okay.
Clearly, I'm a painter, right? And
All right.
so
Yeah.
getting back to kind of the point of what I was saying is that, yeah, some people will say that this, you need to do that. And some people will say that you need to do this. Some people will like, swear that if you don't do this, then you're screwed. And other people will swear if you don't do this, then you're screwed. And it's like contradicting, right? All the time.
Yeah.
And so then you have to be like, well, there's always a little bit of truth to what everybody is saying to me, right? And usually when people do not say straight up, like I said, and you already know, like it's very complicated to find that art director who understands your specific problems and needs, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and that's just going to always be
No.
true. There's
No.
never going to be a,
This is not what.
yeah,
This is not what I said. In fact, what I said it is really complicated to add feedbacks because you can send 1,000 mails and have maybe one feedback. And this
yeah,
feedback is not on your work. It's just okay, good work, to be done. This is all I said. In fact. And it's
yeah,
not true. It's a fact because I
yeah,
send 1,000 mails and I have maybe three returns from art directors, and you don't know why it's not okay for them because they didn't take the time to answer you. This is all I say.
yeah,
And I know the situation, and I work to have a better work to have directors to answer me. That's all I say.
yeah,
You understand?
yeah. I think so. My point is that how then are you going to ever get the feedback that you want, right?
Hmm.
And you just got to keep digging because it might not happen right away, man. Like you got to understand that. Like whose mic is on? Is that you, Sebastian?
Oh, it's mine probably.
Yeah, there's like some feedback. Yeah, if you have a if you want to make a comment, give me 1 second to make a point. So,
Wasn't me.
Sebastian, it wasn't me this time. Um, my final point that I really want to make about this, okay, is not so much like I said. It's not so much that you're wrong. It's just that you need to kind of take it down a notch, right? And that you got to understand that people will always give you like mixed reviews, right? It's just how it works, you know. And
Hmm.
you just got to read between the lines. And so, for instance, I didn't learn that until like maybe 3 years of getting my portfolio reviewed. Like towards the end, I started noticing a pattern, right? Like a lot of people kept on telling me that I should do something that wasn't in my portfolio, right? They would be like, "Oh,
Hmm.
you don't have enough 3D, or you don't have enough this or that," and I'm like, "What the heck, right? Why did they keep telling me to do something else? I don't want to do anything else. I want to be a character concept artist. Why aren't they helping me become a better character artist? Why do they keep diverging me, or distracting me?"
Hmm.
And and that's when I realized, oh, you know what? Probably what it is. I think they just don't want to hurt my feelings. Maybe I'm just a really bad character artist,
Hmm.
right? And it's easier to tell me that I don't have something else in my portfolio because it's a diversion, right?
Yeah.
And it's easier to say because when I would talk to people like Jason Chant, he's a character guy and he would tell me exactly what I needed to do. And that advice would always be super powerful. He'd be like, yeah, you need to work on your edges. Your edges are super undefined. And I'm like, all right. And I worked on my edges. My edges have become really masterful since then, right? Because of him. Because
Hmm.
of that one minute that he stopped in the middle of GDC to just talk to me for that 1 second. He told me that, and I'm like, it's changed like the whole scope of how I paint, right? But those are rare
Okay.
occasions. Like I ran into Scott Robertson, same thing. He's like, Oh yeah, all your materials look like shit. You need to work on your materials. And I was like, all right. So then I worked on all my materials, you know? Like I
Huh.
just believed them. And that belief system, that like unwarranted like skepticism. I didn't put any skepticism. I just Scott Robertson's a badass. He must know what he's talking about. I trust him. And that trust led me to become really good at my materials. You know?
Mhm.
Charlie Wen said you need to work in your anatomy. So I worked on my anatomy. You hear me? Paul Richards told me that my design sensibilities are too simple and too boring. So I worked on that.
Mhm.
Another guy, he was like a producer, I believe. He wasn't an art director. He said, if you want to be a concept artist, your artwork has to be inspiring to other artists. And I was like, okay. So I looked at my artwork and I said, it's not inspiring to myself. I'm not even inspired by it. So what makes me think that anyone else would be? Right?
Mhm.
And
Okay.
but that's like over like 5 or 6 years. Like I only had like 5 or 6 critiques that I feel are the most powerful critiques I've ever gotten. You know,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
and all the critiques in between, I didn't disregard them. I just paid attention to it, and I said, oh, this person just doesn't think that I'm good enough to work here. And instead of telling me that straight up, you know, some people did do that. Some people were just like, "You're not good enough," right? And I'm like, "Oh, great." So that's it, it
Yeah,
hurts,
it's
but
okay.
it's like it's at least good to
But
know,
yes,
right? It's like a really hard truth,
yeah,
and that's very
yeah.
rare. Like people are generally more nicer than that, right? And it seems
Mhm.
like you're good about taking a little bit, like at least you want some hard criticism, right? And my
Yeah.
point is that you don't necessarily need hard criticism. You just need true criticism. You need people just to be truthful with you. And sometimes the truth hurts, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes like when Jason told me that I just worked on my edges, it didn't hurt at all. Like he was right. Like I didn't. It wasn't like he was like totally bashing me. Like he just told me what was wrong, and I saw it like almost immediately, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, you're totally right. And same with like all the other people that made those comments that I really resonated with me over the many years. And so getting back to kind of the point that I'm trying to make again is that you know you're gonna have people tell you, oh, like that's like the advice, oh, you need like 10, 12 pieces in your portfolio. That's the kind of like that's the kind of indirect um, critique of a portfolio that I'm talking about. What they're really
Mhm.
trying to say is that you're not good enough, okay? Or because I was gonna use Wang Wei as an example, right? But I can use Vitaly Bogorov. We'll just use Vitaly. Vitaly is a really great example. Now, I remember I had a student ask, like once, it's like, you know, I'm trying to make sure that I get really good with 2D first before I learn 3D. I want to make sure I learn design fundamentals, right? He was convinced that he can only really do that in 2D. And I said, no, you can do that with whatever tool. You can do it with like toothpaste, you know? It's
Mhm.
like a fundamental thing. It's not a tool thing. The tools don't matter, okay? That's why you have art directors sometimes that don't know how to draw, but yet they know what makes things look great. You know, they're good. They have a good eye for it because they've trained themselves to see that. Steve Jobs is one of those types of people, right?
Mhm.
But anyways, so I said, you know, like let's say you went to a convention, right?
Yes.
And this was your portfolio, and you showed it to a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think they
Not
would be
so
like, you
much.
know what, you needed more 2D stuff in here to really work on your design fundamentals? Do you think they would say that to this
Mhm.
artist?
No, 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 definitely no.
Like this is only one mech, right? Would you think they would say, hey, you know, you need like dozens of mechs, like you need 10 more pieces in your portfolio? You think they would say
Mhm.
that to this artist?
I'm not an art director, but I will not, because I like it. It
Yeah,
depends on
probably
what you
not,
are
right?
looking for.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
not because he is an insanely good artist. Probably the only thing that they would say to him would be like, yeah, we're like, you're amazing, but we're like Pixar. What are you doing? Why are you applying to Pixar? You know, like that would be the only real criticism he would ever get if he was trying to apply for a company that doesn't make this type of stuff, right?
Mhm.
But he himself already knows this, so that's why he only applies. Vitali only applies for stuff that is like this, you know, like epic
Yes,
mech
for sure.
designs, right? And I don't know if you follow him on Facebook, um, but I
No.
do. Just to make that point, me and Vitali, like, look what he's
It's all
doing. Look what,
it's all 3D.
like, it's not 3D anymore. It's
Yes.
like Oh, it's like music. I'm turning down. Okay. He's helping design a real mech for his Korean company
Yeah, great.
because that's in his wheelhouse. And they reached out to him. He
Mhm.
didn't apply. They reached out to him. And there's a video of him like climbing in it, which is really cool. And I was like, oh, dude, that's so cool, Vitaly. Right? I can't find it yet. But like
Yeah.
he is pretty much just all about yeah. So here's the mech design, right? It's he's like living the dream that he has for himself. You get it? Like he loves like hardcore, hard surface mech design and functionality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing it on like a real scale. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to like ArtStation or any kind of portfolio, I tell people this: there's only really one thing you should care about. Only one real thing, okay? Which is the quality of your work. That's it. Okay? Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously it should be stuff like you want to I believe it's like you want to do more illustration illustrative stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like so then you should just have quality illustrations. That's it.
Mm.
Now if you only have two, that's fine. Like and people maybe it's not good enough for some people, maybe they don't believe that you can do a lot. Then you just keep adding more until eventually you have more than two, right? But as you keep
Mm-hmm.
doing it, you just get better and better and better and more epic and more epic and more epic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until eventually people won't say silly shit to you anymore. You know, they won't tell you that you
Mm-hmm.
don't have enough because you will. They won't tell you like, oh, maybe you need more environment stuff because you don't need to have more environment stuff. Your stuff is amazing. You get it?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
and so right now, my best advice to you is don't get distracted with some of that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And trust that yeah, you like having more is better than having less, of course, right? You didn't have to have anyone tell you this. You already kind of came to that conclusion on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
but and you already know having quality is more important than not having quality. This is again something that I don't
yeah.
think
Yeah.
you're disillusioned to. I
It's
already
obvious.
know you believe
Yes,
this.
it's obvious. Yeah, it's obvious.
Wait, what? What happened?
Yeah, but I know. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Great.
you already know all
Thank
this
you.
stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. Yeah.
So
It,
my last
yeah.
comment overall is just yeah, just don't be distracted. Just keep making that portfolio. Keep making it epic. Did you share your portfolio? Is it available now?
No, no, still not. I tried,
Ah, lame.
but our
Send it to
station
me
is not
later.
working.
Send it to me later. I'll
Okay.
take a look at it and I'll help you out.
Great.
Don't worry. I'll
Thank you.
still yeah. That's not too difficult. But like I said,
Yeah.
in the future, um, try to just put something together, and I use something called positive reinforcement as a way to know what people like about my work. Because I was struggling with the same thing, but now I'm pretty clear about what people like about my work.
Mm-hmm.
But what I used to do is positive reinforcement, meaning that I would post stuff on Facebook often or on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, and I'll just pay attention to how people react to it. That's it.
Yeah.
You
See,
know?
it works. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes
You
people
always,
like, lose their mind
yeah.
on one illustration, and I'm like, what? Like, I don't, like, I only
Yeah.
spent like 10 minutes on this, and then everyone loves it,
Mm-hmm.
And then another painting that I spent like days on, people are like, yeah, it's okay. And I'm like, what? And it happens. And then,
Yeah.
but the beautiful thing about like positive criticism is that generally you should be liking everything you're doing, right? Like usually when you're posting something, at least I would hope that you're not posting stuff just for the sake of, your ego. You should just post stuff that you care about, right? And then as you start to see what people start to resonate with, then you can like, reinforce that and do more of it. I see this happening with a lot
Mm-hmm.
of YouTubers who are trying to change their content, and they're going through a hard because they don't understand that people generally are following them for a specific reason in the beginning. And I see this with other artists. Like for instance, there's PewDiePie is one of the great examples of this. He's trying to do like short like reaction videos or short like comedy bits, and his reaction to it. He's getting new subscribers, but at the same time he's losing a lot of subscribers, and he's confused to why this is the case. It's because his whole YouTube channel, like for the last few years, several years, was built around him just playing video games and being a jackass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's not doing that as
Right.
much. He used to do it every day, twice a day, right? He would post videos of
Mhm.
him gaming. But he's bored of that. I get that because as a creative, eventually you get bored of doing something, right? Even if you were good at it and even if you loved it, right? If you do something enough, you can get bored of it, right? And that's what's just happened to a lot of different content creators, and they're getting frustrated, right? I'm
Okay.
seeing this firsthand. But if you follow like the philosophy like Vitali does, which is who cares, just keep doing one thing and be the best. Your life will be a
Yes,
simpler
you just have to
life.
find the guys we will
Yeah,
give
your
you
life
money
will.
to do it.
Yeah, you'll be the best in the world, right? And people will freaking
Yeah.
seek you out. And plus, you're just like you're really good at it. And there's other examples like Sid Mead is like one of the best concept designers for like
Yeah.
futuristic like 80s style. Like he is the
Mhm.
guy to reach out to for that kind of stuff. You know, and
Yeah,
that's
no
kind of
worries.
my advice to you. But is like, don't worry,
Okay.
don't get too
Okay.
distracted. But I don't want you to get rid of like I want you to be positive, right? Like I said, like I'm a realistic optimist. I suggest you should do the
Mhm.
same thing. What does that
Yeah.
mean? It means that I know the world sucks and people are weird, right? And sometimes feedback is
This is
not what
not.
you expect.
This is not. Yeah, this is not what I say there.
Yeah. Yeah, people
Yeah.
are definitely, like, and like there's this bad stuff happen, it just does.
Mhm.
Things don't work out the way that you hope. But,
Yeah.
you know, look at the bright side, right? That's like literally the only choice you have in this world is how you
Yeah.
perceive the
This is
world,
what I
right?
do. Yeah. Don't worry. It's just no problem for me.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you
not
for the
worried
answer.
about you. Yeah, I'm
Because,
not worried about you.
mm,
I really believe that you.
because if I don't, I will not take your course. I will not. This is. Don't worry. I am here for
Okay.
that.
Okay,
I
cool.
am here to.
Yeah, I'm not worried about you
Just.
either. I think you're really good. And I just want you to
Thank
not
you.
get distracted with people telling you other stuff. You just might
Mhm.
not be able to work for that company, but it doesn't mean you can't work for any other company. In fact, I think your stuff
Yeah.
is even good enough to start working right now. Really, I,
Mhm.
I believe this. And if you build enough of a portfolio, I could probably help you get some work freelance for some smaller companies, and that'll
Okay.
be that'll be
Thank
good,
you.
right? Yeah, I don't.
Thank you.
It's not a big deal. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, like I'm trying to make the biggest point ever about like yeah, just people sometimes just don't know how to just come up with a straight answer. That's why, like I was saying, like I know you were trying to get me to kind of be really harsh on you, but like I don't just be harsh for the sake of being harsh. Like all right, you know
No,
what?
no,
This
no,
color
no,
is fucking gross. Like no, if something's wrong, I'll tell you.
no.
But right now you're
I'm
on
not.
the right
I'm
path.
not. I'm not another guy. Just like I don't. I like that people say the don't take the as you said before. I like to say the things that the as they are.
Yes.
If it's, yeah. It's not a problem if you tell me that my work sucks. I'm totally agree with. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to go right after and
Sure.
learn and why. If the people tell me why it sucks, it's okay for me.
Yeah. If you
No
really
problem.
want someone to bash you, try to
Mm.
meet Marko Djurdjevic. He'll kill you. He's pretty aggressive. I heard horror stories, man, making people cry. I'm not that type
Really?
of instructor. Yeah, I
Mm.
just try to educate. I don't think you need to make people cry to educate them. You know,
No, no. Yeah.
I have some good stories about. I made a few students really upset. One student I made cry, and another student like left my class. I'll talk about it after I take another question. Someone try to take on. Someone else had something they wanted to say.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's
Yeah,
move on.
it's really a lot of time.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I wanted to ask if being good and uploading your stuff on Facebook and ArtStation is enough to get a large following.
Yeah, if you are good, it's not enough because you have to constantly be posting how good you are. Okay. Now, being good is definitely enough to get a job, but if you want to like increase the amount of people who know who you are, you got to post often. Okay. I made this point to the class earlier. So let me make it again to a different. I think it was a different morning class. ArtStation's down again. ArtStation would be a great tool right now. I wonder if Leo knows. Oh, fixed it. As soon as I said that, I usually message Leo right when it happens, but I'm sure people already messaged him. So, because last time I did, he's like, "I'm already on it, bro." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I feel bad messaging him, but But I was feeling if it was going to happen again, I was going to just message him. But it looks like he fixed it. It's just because their site's getting larger and larger. You know, they're having tons and tons of viewership, which is great. I'm really proud of them. Anyway, okay. So, you know, my work is pretty good, right? And I have nearly 16,000 followers, right? That's pretty great. Um, but let's look at someone else. Or actually, let's just, yeah, let's look at Wang. Wang Wei. Wang Wei is better than me. No doubt, right? Hands down, way better than me. But he only
Say so.
has, yeah, he only has 5,000 followers. How's that possible?
Yeah, but he's got like 10 times less artworks than you.
That's
Right?
it. That's really what it is. Okay. The more you post, what you're doing is you're giving more of an opportunity for people to see your work. Oh, look, Ross is a great example. Watch. Ross has tons of stuff. Well, I'm not following Ross.
Yeah, plus he's got his active YouTube channel,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's posting weekly, I believe. Right? He's posting really often. No, Bemis, your friend is here. You should be playing with her. Hold on. Okay, here we go. I thought I was following Ross. I guess I wasn't. Follow him again. So he's got 23,000 followers, and he's got tons of artwork. And not only that, he has artwork that is inspired by fan art, right? Like other genres, which escalates your viewership, right? It's the American Idol approach, where people recognize the song, but the way you sing it makes people like it even better. Like they start to love the artist, right? So he has a lot of followers, and his work is, you know, really good. So it helps definitely. But let me show you like if you just go and find like something really good. Like this is a really cool image. Whoever did this one, right? Yeah, dude. The bandwidth on our station is starting to be really sluggish. It's weird. Anyway, right? So this guy is phenomenal. Or gal, not sure. This person is phenomenal, right? Hands down, probably one of the best environment artists I've seen in a while. Yeah, only got
Mhm.
3,000 followers. How is this possible? How can this be? Don't people know how amazing this person is? Yeah, some do. The rest of us don't. You understand? Like, did you know who this was? No, right?
No.
Until he's on the front page. He might have posted an image like sooner, like if he would have posted this um, like a day ago. But look, he posted this like a month ago. If you post again, what happens is that your stuff starts to pop up more often. It starts to show up on this front page. You get it? Some people
Mhm.
actually go to the trending or the latest. You know, people go to these other tabs and try to find what else is happening, like what's the most popular images, right? And when they find one they like, they start following it. And if you only post like once every 5 years, yeah, no one's gonna know. So let's see if Dimitri has a huge following, because that was pretty impressive. I like this stuff though. Yeah, not really, right? But then again, you will have people that have very few images, right? But tons of followers. And you have people that have lots of images and very few followers. Okay? So those there are always examples on the opposite spectrum, right? But it's more likely that you're going to have a ton of followers if you're posting often. It's just the numbers are in your favor. Okay? And if your
Right.
work happens to be good, then that will be exponential, right? If your work is mediocre to okay, then it probably will take a while before people start caring about it, right? But you will acquire some followers, even if with mediocre work, right? But the more you post epic work and good work, then yeah, uh, people will follow you. But it's not like what you think. It's not going to be like all of a sudden you show one epic painting and then 17,000 people decide to follow you. It's not going to happen like that. It just isn't. But you're going to get a couple dozen, maybe a few hundred if you're lucky, right? So then post another one, you get another few hundred. Post another one, you get another few hundred. Post another, maybe you get it now up to 1,000. Post another one, you get a thousand, 1,000, and 1,000. And then you post another one, you get a few thousand. And you post another one, you get a few more thousand. You understand?
Yeah.
And then when you start to get into like the tens of thousands of followers, yeah, you're on average getting more. Um, you're gonna just get more uh, people just exponentially, obviously. If you start getting into millions, like if you have 1 million followers, then instead of hundreds of people following every time you do a post, you're going to get tens of thousands of people. You get it? So like if you look at like my Instagram is one of the greatest example of this. So if you go back all the way when I first started posting stuff, okay, on my Instagram, hold on. All right. Hold on, sweetheart. I'm still teaching. Sweetheart, I said I'm still teaching. So if you go all the way back in time, when I was posting pictures of like my babies and some sketches, me drinking, right? And so then I only got like what, 41 favorites, maybe 10. This one got like 100, which is pretty good. I had like maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 followers, and that was just a product of me having a ton of followers on Facebook that transitioned to my Instagram. Okay, because you can do that, right? You can be like, hey, follow me on Instagram and post it on your Facebook, and then tons of people will start following you, right? So, sketches here and there, maybe got a few hundred, which was pretty impressive, right? Like this image right here got like 600. That's pretty good. It's got 500, 300, right? But look what I'm doing. I'm just posting constantly. 300, 600, 500, 700, right? Now it's starting to get past 500. Now on average, I'm making at least 200 to 300. And that highest like 700, 800. Now I'm starting to get 1,000, right? Now I'm starting to get, and this is where I'm going from like 1,000 followers to maybe 5,000 followers, maybe from 5,000 to 10,000, slowly going up the ladder, right? And this stuff is old. Like, look, this is like 85 weeks ago, right? It's a little over a year and a half, right? And I'm just posting, and posting images of myself, my friends, stuff that I thought would be important, things that I thought were cool, you know? Oh, these are cool pictures my daughter did. Anyway, keep going, keep going. Now we're starting to get into the thousands, right? Like now I'm averaging in the thousands of favorites and likes, even on my low end images, right? They're at least getting a few hundred easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just keep posting and posting, and now I'm getting into the 1,500s as on an average, right? And on maxing out at 3,000, right? Getting to 4,000. And then I just keep posting and keep posting, and now I'm averaging. Wait, where is it? Yeah, right here. Now I'm averaging a few thousand, right? And I start getting into 7,000, 6,000 easily, right? And I still post, and it's getting higher. They're not below 1,000 anymore. Okay, right? And then I think they started going past 2,000, and they start now almost stay right around 2,000. They don't go below 2,000. Even on my worst paintings, they maybe 1,500 or like 1,900 or 1,800, but it's still having a hard time going below 2,000. And I'm getting 6,000, 3,000 easily, right? So even this one only got 1,800, but still people liked it. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And like these are the most recent ones. Like this one was only like yesterday, right? Like 3 hours, or not even yesterday, this morning, 3 hours ago, and it's already at 1,600. You see that? and I have now almost 70,000 followers and over 287 posts. Does this make sense to you now? This is like, you just post often, and if your work happens to be good, you're just going to exponentially grow more followers. This is how it works. Okay? This
All
is
right.
why
Thanks.
PewDiePie has over 50 million followers on on YouTube, which is insane. It's not because his quality is actually good. It was not great, but it was good. It was good enough. It was hilarious, right? When he played those games by himself, especially the ones where he was playing horror games and he gets scared very easily. He really had a jump of followers then, right? But it wasn't because he was like this pioneer of making amazing video content. He was posting when he first started almost 3 or 4 times a day on YouTube, right? Like a day. And he did that for years. You understand? And so if you think about like your favorite YouTube stuff, like you watch a video and that video's done. Like it's like a 10-minute video of your favorite YouTuber and you can't watch it again. You have to wait till the next day. And if you have a YouTuber who submits every 2 weeks or every 2 or 3 days or every week, you're going to fall off the wagon every once in a while, right? And then eventually do like a binge watch, like catching up on all the videos you missed, right? But if you're a PewDiePie follower, a subscriber, you can be watching videos the whole day, every day. You see the difference? So then you're going to be watching it, and then someone else is going to be like, oh, what are you watching? Oh, PewDiePie. Oh, let me see. And then you're going to share a clip that you think is funny. The more opportunity of sharing and deciding, like, or giving that out to other players or other subscribers becomes more opportune, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the solution is very clear. A lot of people just don't do it. That's all. It's very simple. It's not over. There's not like a formula that's like crazy. Like, oh, you got to make sure on uh, on every Tuesday, make sure to eat some salt, pour it on your artwork, and then send it out, and you will get 10,000 followers. No, and I actually recommend people not do any kind of like subscriber based um, increase. Like you can pay. There's like websites where you can pay for fake subscribers, right? I recommend
Mhm.
against this 100%. And I actually was considering it when I was starting my school. I was like, oh, I should try to get like more followers to kind of be on this thing. And I did more research on it because luckily for me, I had my Facebook already, right? And it taught me that because I had like my Facebook and I had my Facebook page. I had my profile and then I had my page, right? And I learned that my Facebook page, because I use a lot of promotional like stuff that Facebook helps with, right? So you can like pay for sponsorship on your page, right? So I used a lot of that to see the difference. And even though I had like 20,000 people that potentially followed me on my um, Facebook page, right? The reaction or the reactiveness, like the amount of people that actually engage, right, was very, very small. It was like a very tiny percentage. Where on my Facebook profile had almost, it has the same amount at the time when I was doing this. It was like 25,000. It was like 5,000 more. It had like a higher percentage of engagement. And the difference is that my Facebook profile was an organic growth. Like I didn't do anything fancy with it. I just organically grew that fan base. You understand?
Yeah, and people don't really like ads, right?
Yeah. So it's like when I post a quote unquote ad, like if I'm selling a class or putting out Gumroad videos, the response is huge because it's an organic thing. It's not like I'm like sponsoring it anymore. I'm just putting it out there, and if you want to look at it, you look at it. If not, it's fine, right? Where my sponsors, like people will constantly be seeing it, and I think people would get annoyed by that because it's not necessarily what people came to see, right? And so that's why my Instagram is also an organic growth. I didn't pay for any of that. I just post often and post work that I think is good. That's it, right? And so now if I put any kind of advertisement or any kind of like, I want to market myself in any way, it's honest. It's honest marketing, right? And I like that. I prefer that over the other way, right?
Hmm.
Like, big companies have big margins. I'm not a big company. I don't need to do any of that crazy stuff, right? Like I just need to make enough money to keep food on the table. You know, that's really it, right? And and so it's a really powerful strategy that most people can employ. You know, anywhere in the world. And if you just keep doing that, like you got to be patient because it took me like 5 years to get my Facebook to where it's at, right? It took me almost 2 years to get my Instagram to where it's at, you know? And so if you're like patient and you just put the time and you put the effort in, you'll be shocked on the results, 5 or 6 years from now, right? That you can live on off of your own artwork potentially. And it might not even take that long. You can take, if you're very clever and come up with clever ways of having people digest your content, like kind of like what Ross does, you can have it sooner, like within a year or so, you know? But again, like don't be in such a hurry, right? Like, because I feel I even talked to Ross about this, like, because he built a system that I warned him, was like, right now it's great because you're like really into it, but this is like I've seen this happen to a lot of other YouTubers. They get YouTube burnout, right? And they don't know what else to keep because they built their audience based off of something that was fun at the time, but not something that's creatively fulfilling, you know? And for me, I'm very happy that I did build my reputation around education and painting really good and fast, right? Because that's what I love to do. There's not a day where I'm not excited about doing that, like helping out people, doing streams, teaching people. Like I'm really been itching to do a stream. I'm probably gonna do one today, later, right? And also I like to just paint stuff and do it really fast and impress people at a very micro level. But at the same time, try to help people understand that they can do that too. It's not impossible, right? And so when you guys are building your own fan bases for whatever reason or at whatever capacity, keep all the stuff that I suggested in mind, yeah? Because nobody teaches you or prepares you for success, and this is my tool to teach you how to prepare for success. Yeah, if you want a lot of followers and try to create that, it's very simple. Just keep making good work and post often. Is good work enough? Not always. In fact, most likely never. Or not never, most likely unlikely, right? It's better to post, like, if you have 10 really amazing pieces of artwork, it's better to post those once a week than all at once in one day. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Because then you spread that out and you're creating the opportunity for people to constantly get traffic. Because some people that would have wanted to follow your work missed it that day, But if you post the next day, they won't miss it. But someone else might have missed it. You post the next day, they like it. And eventually you do artwork that's so good that those people start to share it. They're like, this is amazing. I'm going to share it with all my friends. And when that happens, you get like a good, huge resurgence of like followers. But you don't count on that, right? You count on just constant posting. You don't count on those big, like huge pushes. Those will come and go. But the better philosophy is to just kind of keep the fire burning versus having it incinerate right off the bat, you know? And it's more fulfilling that way because you're building into good habits versus just like trying to get the quick fix.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps you out. I'll take one more question, and then
I think
last.
Dan has asked something on the
Yeah,
chat.
yeah. Can you ask the question
Yeah,
again?
it's about, he asked about the mixer brush, if you use it.
Oh yeah,
Does it give the
sometimes.
painter any feel?
Yeah, yeah, sometimes. In fact, that's one of my things that I want to try to start doing is using the mixture brush more, like really getting to practicing using it. I see a lot of benefit in using it, so yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good one. But not right now. I just think this smudge does a lot of what I want. Any other questions? That was more technical, so that was easier one to answer. Yeah, I think tools are great. Like use as many tools as possible, but obviously still try to master. And I mean, like even in your field of work, right? If you're a 2D painter like me, then and you use Photoshop, then use Photoshop to its best. You know.
Okay, maybe I
Oh,
have another one question, just
you
just
missed it.
purely
Yeah,
technical.
let me really answer real quick again. Yeah, I use the mixer brush sparingly, but like I really think it's a powerful brush or tool. So I'm gonna get into it more likely in the next few weeks.
I
Anyways,
use Mixer Brush mostly as a blurring tool, like instead of the smudge tool. Could you
yeah,
show me
sure.
how you set up the settings for the smudge tool so it blurs like selected areas?
Yeah, so if you go to the settings, it's pretty much this. It's scattering is at 30% with 1 to 0% jitter, and it has transfer on with strength at jitter at 0 and pen pressure and then minimum 0. So I believe these are all default. If scattering isn't default, then just change it to 30. And it's just your common airbrush.
All right,
That's it.
thanks.
In fact, I think I could probably bring down the scattering. Now, if you don't bring down the scattering, it's kind of weird. If it doesn't scatter, it actually slows down, right? Like it's like it's like really takes forever sometimes to smudge something. But with scattering, for whatever reason, the algorithm is different. That it makes it almost like it doesn't delay at all, right? It's weird. Um, and so like the lower the scattering is, like there's like a good number. I think it's somewhere between 15 to 30, where you can have it scatter just enough that it doesn't delay a lot. But if you do it too much, then it delays a tremendous amount. So now if we try it, yeah, see this works fine. So I think 15 is fine. I'm gonna probably keep it there. Yeah, actually, let's try 30 again. But I have a tool preset. Oh, I see why I use 30 because it's more instantaneous, the smudge. Anyways, it's irrelevant. Like, just do that settings and you should have it the way that I use it. Because the thing about the mixer brush is the mixer brush also acts like a brush, like you could paint with it. You know, smudge tool like only smudges the two like colors or values you have. Mixer brush you can actually add new value or add new color. You know, so there's something powerful about that. It's like it paints and smudges at the same time. That makes sense. And there's something powerful about that, but I don't see the immediate use of that right away. Any other questions? All right, cool.
Yeah, short question.
Yeah, go for it.
Really short question. Where can we send you the you said we can next week we can send you our finished work, so to speak, or the
Yeah,
progress. Where can we send you these
on
paintings?
Discord.
On Discord.
Yep.
Is there any specific group
Oh
or
no,
chat?
you can just message me directly.
Oh, okay.
So if you see that I'm online, you can just like right click on my face and then just hit message, like what I can do with Zenzel. Or actually, I think if you just left click, actually left click, not right click, you can just message
All right.
directly.
Because I'm not so familiar with Discourse, and yeah,
Yeah, I think that's
that
the
helps.
easiest way. I think if you can do direct message and then you can find me too this way. You can do like Robotpencil, I guess. You know, and then you just go to the direct messages tab. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Cool. Yep. See,
Yeah,
Brian just messaged me. That's a good example. Oh, it's
just tell us the story of the student that you you that left the class because you were too hard on him, something like that. You were sad that you're
oh yeah, I
going
was gonna tell the
to
story.
how that.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now,
Yeah.
and then I'll end the class. Thanks for reminding me. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to watch more in the future. If you liked the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. If you like this content, you can go to my website, robotpencil.net, where you can find mentorships, tutorials, and a Patreon to get more exclusive content. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next videos.